Hey, this is Kat Caracelo. I'm the founder of JourneyPath Institute. And for 15 years, I have been leading Quest, online global community for women, doing deep myth work. We follow the wheel of the year, but it is so much more than that. We create community together through our creative inquiry work, through depth diving, and finding our own personal myth. I have women who have been traveling with me for years doing this quest work because we're never done. We're never done with our journey. The journey is constantly turning. And the journey turns in our lives around seasons of life, seasons on the wheel of time, so seasons of the year. But so much more than that is just recognizing and honoring how our inner seasons are impacted by the turning of the year, the cycles of the moon, the symbology of the earth. So we really create this wonderful interplay between our inner seasons and our outer awareness. We use a Jungian approach to creative depth work because it is such a powerful and effective tool of growth, transformational growth. The quest as a mythic experience is fostered and determined by our own creative energies and images and the way that we move into new knowledge by creating these really potent reflective surfaces. You can see two of my journey maps behind me. These are scrolls, and often I work the other way. I work with more of an accordion, more of um, a determination of moving along a path. But so much of the journey work that happens in our lives is through the thinking mind. And what I've cultivated in the QuestPath work and in Mythos journey work through Journey Path Institute is bringing all of that overthinking energy and all of the emotional angst into a new space or place. And I invite anybody who works with me to translate some of the challenges in life, to pour them out of yourself and put them on a page. Whatever this means to you is exactly what you're seeing and what is going to be interpreted through your own soul's knowing. But I created this card and entertaining the energy of seeking peace. And sometimes this is exactly what I need. Seeking peace and then tucking it into the lotus, no mud, no growth, right? So the lotus is such a powerful, powerful image. And then this cosmic night sky. If this becomes a landscape of life, if this story becomes a focal point for me, how does it change my day-to-day experience? So the creative process becomes an avatar for active experience and how I could bring this energy into my day-to-day life. Now, we do this in much more complex ways in the creative process, and in questing, we might create something. Oh gosh, I'm making a mess. Well, that's what studio work does, right? But we might create something like this, an invitation to enter in to a vast landscape of life. So how does it work when questing, invites us to a place that's far away, a place that holds ancestral energy, a place that holds mythic memory for you? So if you create space for yourself to open up and explore your stories, if you create space to enter into this doorway to enter into a new story, a new way of being, maybe you start to open up to certain energies, certain memories, certain parts of your personal myth. Maybe she brings the energy of fragmentation right to the front of your conversation. And then you turn the page and you start visioning and you start exploring where your inner visions bring you back to the child inside. This kind of memory making or energy making is part of investigating and embracing the journey, the quest, where we ask ourselves important questions and we step into stories with various parts of self. Simultaneously, the inner child meets the woman, the aging woman, different pathways, and how we stir our stories, how we take the energy of the creative to activate and energize and inform our life, how we move from fragmentation to wholeness, how we entertain healing, how we work with different energies and memories to activate and become. The other thing about the quest is that we're working with a whole circle of women, a global community where we meet 16 times a year, and we come together to work around different mythic themes, always working with our own personal myth, but also collaborating and working with one another and seeing how the stories will shift woman to woman, yet there's a sense of reflection, whether you're in your 30s or your 40s or your 50s or your 60s or your 70s or your 80s. We are women who are holding the infant and the ancient, the wisdom and the wild. All of our stories matter. All of our stories are meaningful. And how we travel into this space around the wheel of the year is just the doorway or the threshold of shifting into our own deep knowledge and our expansive potential. So, always operating around healing deeper and expressing and expanding in our wholeness. The conversations that we have when we're live together and how we create together, it sort of invites that studio time or that retreat space. In fact, we call some of those gatherings virtual retreats because we come studio to studio to studio and we create together around certain themes. But sometimes we're doing shamanic journey work, following a deeper, longer mythic unfolding, finding our own stories inside the words or the images or the energies that are globally offered in our space. We also work with cross-cultural myths. We work with goddess energies. We work with our own life force energy. We share our stories. We share our challenges. We celebrate one another. We move through each year, Samhain on November 1st to the mid-October time, transition time between equinox and Samhain. Samhain being that All Hallows time where we meet the ancestors and we enter into a new year. Around the Celtic wheel, Samhain is the new year. We honor that we each have almost a different wheel of the year that we're working with. In fact, we talk about the medicine wheel, the Celtic wheel, the Maori wheel. We talk about Southern Hemisphere, Northern Hemisphere. We work with the many iterations of seasons and substance, the way that each of us will resonate with different symbologies, yet we all live held in the bowl of the earth under the cosmic night sky. So we're always, always honoring as above, so below, as within, so without. We're honoring the energies of deep history and mystery, yet we're working in a linear fashion because we're entertaining the path of questing, of moving into the quest. What is this year's quest going to bring? What am I going to learn? How am I going to grow? Where am I going to go? And so every year I shift and change the quest. I always offer new materials, which is very exciting, new materials to work with in terms of cards, in terms of mythic themes, in terms of imagery and energy. There are always some new things that are coming in. And of course, we come to each year's quest completely different. About 50% of us in the circle are new, and about 50% of us are returning quest sisters. So there's always a wonderful mix of brand new to the process and well seasoned in the process. We learn from one another and we, get to play with the potential of what's new in our lives and what's familiar and what's unfamiliar. We're always working with the intuitive. And that's such a big part of the creative, no matter whether you use um, pens just to draw or whether you're a painter and using intuitive painting. We use a lot of very, very raw materials. You can see from the creative process that I shared how, collage and mixed media and paint are all part of our process, whether we're working in cards or in bigger form, whether we're mapping and expanding using maps like this or using cards, soul collage, journey circles, intuitive art making, um, altar building, object art, art in nature. These are all ways we play. Many of us are seekers. Many of us are dreamers. So some of us will bring big dreams into our creative process, or we'll bring emotional unpacking into our process. In fact, I have a wonderful bonus for QuestPath this year, and I'm offering the monthly Selkie Sisters e-course and community group as a bonus, which is a value of an extra $300 off, but you get QuestPath for free, where we come together once a month to do some deep work around emotional landscapes, where we travel as selkies, as mermaids, as women of flexibility and shapeshifters into new landscapes each month to explore the emotional content of our lives. So we're always practicing these wonderful depth tools. This is a creative depth approach to use these wonderful techniques and tools to expand our language of life. And essentially, what I know to be true is every woman who comes into Quest activates energy towards their next steps by entertaining the mythic and working with the images. Because when we throw out an image, we step into a new story. Even when we go back to old stories and are working with pain or shame or vulnerability, we're doing it because wholeness leads us forward. Healing happens. Our soul knows how and when we're ready to heal deeper. And so sometimes we are working with the raw or the shadow material, but it always happens. It always comes forth to bring us into the next, into the healing, and into the wholeness. Our creative depth work, our journey work serves our evolutionary growth. So come join me in Quest. Become a Quest sister. I try to make this such an important part of each of our lives. For me, it's the way I live my life. And the fact that so many women have quested with me, thousands of women have actually quested with me. If you think of mini journeys and different ways to play, but the quest path, the year-long journey, is the cornerstone of this work. And if you've never done it, join us. This year is going to be extraordinary. We open the quest on October 23rd. We begin at Samhain. Between November 1st and November 7th is when we start to stir the stories, open up the channels, talk to the ancestors, engage the journey. So come join me, and we're beginning soon. Things are opening up. You can join with a payment plan and stretch out your payments over a year. I can't wait to quest with you in 2023, 2024. And we're bringing in a lot of juicy new energy with Diana's wood and Artemis energy and the wild and the warrior and the wonderful. So come join us to explore your stories.